From the very first moments of this unfolding drama, an extraordinary tension has gripped royal watchers and insiders alike. A tension born not from external forces or traditional rivals, but from a fracture within the British royal family's inner circle. Imagine a scene so charged with emotion and unspoken history that it seems ripped from the pages of a royal thriller. Picture Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, living their California dream, reaching out repeatedly to Kate Middleton, her poised, dignified image the embodiment of the British monarchy's future, in hopes of drawing her into a new Netflix docuseries, a carefully crafted narrative that promises to rewrite public perceptions. Yet, instead of a warm embrace or even a tentative response, there is silence. Then, whispers grow louder. Kate Middleton has blocked them. She has shut the door completely. What could provoke such a definitive act of cutting off communication? How did the ties that once bound these family members begin to unravel so violently, so irreparably? And what does this mean not only for their personal relationships, but for the future of the monarchy itself? This video will take you through the labyrinth of emotions, power plays, and secrets that have brought us here, revealing a story that is as much about survival and identity as it is about fame, loyalty, and betrayal. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. The saga between Kate Middleton and the Sussexes has always been watched with a magnifying glass, the delicate balance between duty and personal freedom playing out on a global stage. But now, the stakes have been raised to a terrifying new level. Behind the polished public appearances, beneath the smiles and official statements, lies a narrative fraught with pain, mistrust, and unspoken threats. Meghan and Harry's aggressive pursuit to include Kate in their Netflix docuseries is more than a mere professional opportunity. It is a desperate attempt to reshape the family narrative, to claim legitimacy in the eyes of the world, and perhaps to heal wounds that have festered for years. Yet Kate's reaction, firm, unyielding, and deliberate, tells a different story. Blocking calls and messages is no small decision in a family so steeped in tradition and public scrutiny. It signals a boundary that cannot be crossed, a refusal to engage with what many see as a dangerous game. The implications are staggering. Could Kate's silence and refusal to participate signal the collapse of all hope for reconciliation? Is this an act of self-protection or a calculated power move? And how will Meghan and Harry respond to this rejection, especially when the eyes of the world are watching every move? To understand the depth of this conflict, we must first trace the origins of the rift. The relationship between Kate Middleton and Meghan Markle has long been a subject of speculation and rumor. Early reports suggested an uneasy dynamic, with Meghan allegedly feeling overshadowed and isolated in the tightly knit circle of the royal family. Conflicts reportedly surfaced during wedding preparations, with Meghan perceiving Kate's demeanor as cold or dismissive. On the other side, Kate and her husband, Prince William, reportedly grew concerned about Meghan and Harry's increasing distance from the traditional royal protocols and values. These underlying tensions created a fault line, invisible to the public but growing steadily beneath the surface. When Meghan and Harry made the unprecedented decision to step back from royal duties and relocate to the United States, it shook the monarchy to its core. This seismic move was framed publicly as a quest for independence and peace, but privately it deepened the divide. As Meghan and Harry launched their media empire, including lucrative Netflix deals, they sought to control their narrative, presenting themselves as modern victims of a rigid institution. Yet the Sussexes' attempts to include Kate as a central figure in their new docuseries may have been perceived by Kate as a direct threat. An invitation to participate was more than a mere cameo. It was a chance to rewrite history, to sway public opinion, and to position Meghan and Harry as the true voices of the royal family's modern chapter. Kate, however, is no stranger to media scrutiny. She has carefully cultivated an image of grace under pressure, blending tradition with modernity in a way that resonates globally. For Kate, participating in a project controlled by Meghan and Harry, especially one so closely tied to their personal brand, could be seen as compromising her carefully guarded reputation. More than that, it risked exposing private family matters to the glare of a worldwide audience. matters that the palace and Kate herself would prefer remain behind closed doors. Sources close to the family reveal that Meghan and Harry did not merely invite Kate once or twice. They reportedly inundated her with calls, texts, and emails, hoping to coax her into joining the docuseries. Some insiders say Meghan outlined specific roles for Kate, framing her as the bridge who could mend fences and humanize the royal family's image. Others suggest it was a power play disguised as reconciliation, a way for Meghan and Harry to assert dominance within the family narrative. The pressure mounted, and Kate's discomfort grew. What happened next was a turning point. Frustrated and wary, Kate made the bold decision to block both Meghan and Harry from her phone and social media accounts. This act of finality shocked palace insiders and royal watchers alike. Blocking family, especially in the context of royal protocol, is almost unheard of. It signals a rupture not just in communication, but in trust and willingness to engage. It tells a story of a woman pushed to her limits, determined to protect herself and the institution she represents at all costs. Meanwhile, the reaction from Meghan and Harry was immediate and intense. Reports describe Meghan breaking down in tears upon realizing the extent of Kate's rejection. The atmosphere in Montecito became fraught with anxiety as the couple grappled with the consequences of being cut off from one of the last remaining familial connections. For Meghan, who has long sought to project an image of unity and healing, this was a crushing blow. For Harry, caught between loyalty to his wife and nostalgia for his past, the blockade deepened his sense of isolation. Amid this turmoil, Buckingham Palace and Kensington Palace have maintained a studied silence, refusing to comment on the private family matter. This silence speaks volumes. It reflects the palace's traditional stance of keeping family disputes out of the public eye, but it also hints at deeper concerns about the damage this rift could inflict on the monarchy's reputation. Observers speculate that behind closed doors, senior royals are scrambling to manage the fallout and prevent further public spectacle. The public and media response to the news of Kate blocking Meghan and Harry has been a firestorm. Some commentators praise Kate for standing her ground and protecting the monarchy from what they see as an aggressive media strategy by the Sussexes. Others criticize the family division, lamenting the public airing of private grievances. Social media platforms exploded with debates, memes, and speculation, reflecting the deep emotional investment people have in the royal family saga. At the heart of the story lie complex motivations. Was Meghan and Harry's persistent outreach to Kate about the Netflix docuseries a genuine attempt at family healing, or a calculated move to harness the power of royal narratives for their own gain? Did Kate's refusal represent strength and self-preservation, or missed opportunity for reconciliation? These questions linger as the saga unfolds. Kate's dignified silence, her refusal to engage publicly or even privately, may be her most potent response. In a world where attention is currency, silence can be a powerful form of resistance. By cutting off Meghan and Harry, Kate asserts control over her story and sends a clear message. Some lines cannot be crossed, no matter the cost. As Meghan and Harry navigate the fallout in California, the future of the Netflix docuseries hangs in the balance. Without Kate's participation, the project risks losing its emotional core and credibility. The couple must decide whether to persist or pivot, while the royal family watches closely, aware that this personal drama has public consequences. Ultimately, this story is not just about royal titles or media deals. It is about family, loyalty, and identity in a world that watches and judges every move. It challenges us to consider how much sacrifice is required to protect what we hold dear, and what happens when those bonds break beyond repair. What would you do if you were in Kate's shoes? Could you block your own family to protect yourself and your legacy? This is the question at the heart of a saga that is far from over. Stay with us as we peel back the layers of this extraordinary family drama, revealing the truth behind the headlines and the human emotions beneath the royal facade. This is a story that will redefine everything you thought you knew about the Sussexes, Kate Middleton, and the future of the British monarchy. The relationship between Kate Middleton, Prince Harry, and Meghan Markle has always been a subject of intense scrutiny, yet few outside the royal circle fully understood the depth of the tensions simmering beneath the surface. To the public, The royal family often appears united, a symbol of stability and tradition. But behind closed doors, this trio's interactions have been far from harmonious. When Meghan Markle first entered the royal family, the world watched with curiosity and excitement. She was the American actress, the outsider, the modern woman who would bring a new energy to centuries-old traditions. Yet, almost from the beginning, cracks began to show. Insiders recount subtle but significant moments that foreshadowed a growing divide. Wedding preparations were one of the first arenas where tension surfaced. Meghan was said to feel overshadowed by Kate, who, as the future queen consort, naturally commanded the spotlight. Rumors swirled about whispered complaints and icy glances. Meghan reportedly struggled to feel fully accepted within the royal inner circle, often feeling isolated amidst the tight-knit relationships that William and Kate shared. Kate, on her part, was navigating her own pressures, balancing public expectations, royal duties, and her role as a mother and wife. The arrival of Meghan and Harry added new dynamics that some in the palace found difficult to manage. There were whispers of Kate questioning Meghan's intentions and style, concerns about Meghan's rapid integration and her approach to royal life. This uneasy atmosphere created a subtle but growing rift. It wasn't marked by loud confrontations but rather by missed calls, curt messages, and increasing physical distance at family events. Prince Harry, caught between his wife and his brother's family, began to drift away. The brothers' once close bond was fraying, with Kate often perceived as an extension of William's influence, which Harry felt increasingly alienated from. Observers noted how Harry and Meghan's departure from the UK to the United States was a turning point. The move was not merely physical but symbolic, a declaration of independence from royal protocols and expectations. It further widened the emotional gap with Kate and William, who remained pillars of the monarchy in Britain. The media amplified these tensions, often pitting Kate and Meghan against each other, portraying a rivalry that seemed both personal and public. Each side's supporters clashed fiercely online, feeding a narrative of division that overshadowed any attempts at reconciliation. Yet, beneath the surface, there were moments of attempted connection. Private messages and discreet meetings hinted at a desire to bridge the gap. However, the cumulative weight of misunderstandings, media pressure, and clashing personalities made these efforts fragile and fleeting. What exactly triggered the breakdown into silence and blockage? Was it an accumulation of past grievances, or a specific incident that shattered the last threads of communication? As we delve deeper, the answers begin to emerge, revealing a complex web of emotions, ambitions, and fears. This fractured relationship is the foundation of the larger conflict that would soon unfold, setting the stage for the dramatic events surrounding the Netflix docuseries and Kate's controversial decision to block Harry and Meghan entirely. When Prince Harry and Meghan Markle announced their multi-million-dollar deal with Netflix, the world took notice. It was a bold move that underscored their determination to carve out a new identity far from the constraints of royal life. The deal promised documentaries, scripted shows, and children's programming. Content that would showcase their values, stories, and perspectives on a global platform. For Harry and Meghan, Netflix represented more than just a business opportunity. It was a stage to reclaim their narrative after years of intense media scrutiny and perceived mistreatment by the British press. Through this partnership, they hoped to connect with audiences on their own terms, presenting a curated image of resilience, compassion, and modernity. But within this new venture lay an undercurrent of tension. While Harry and Meghan embraced the spotlight and the storytelling possibilities, other members of the royal family watched with concern. The prospect of a docuseries delving into intimate family dynamics, especially with the Sussexes controlling the creative direction, was unsettling. According to insiders, the Sussexes saw the involvement of Kate Middleton as crucial. They believed her participation could lend credibility and a sense of unity to the project, showing the world that despite publicized rifts, the family could come together to share their truth. Kate was positioned not only as a participant, but as a bridge between the old guard and the new generation. Meghan, in particular, was reportedly passionate about bringing Kate on board. She saw it as an opportunity to mend fences, but also to challenge the narrative that had often painted her as divisive. For Harry, who deeply valued his relationship with his brother and sister-in-law. Kate's involvement was a chance to heal family wounds while advancing their shared project. However, Kate's media strategy has always been more measured and discreet. She maintains a careful balance between tradition and modernization, avoiding overtly public personal revelations. This cautious approach clashed with Meghan and Harry's willingness to expose private family moments in exchange for authenticity and audience engagement. The Sussexes' push for Kate's involvement intensified as production plans progressed. Reports suggest they sent detailed proposals, outlining how she could be portrayed positively, and even emphasizing her role in reuniting the family to create a compelling narrative arc. This invitation was framed not just as a creative collaboration, but as a symbolic gesture of reconciliation. Yet, beneath this invitation lay complex power dynamics. Meghan and Harry's brand was burgeoning, and their project promised global reach. For Kate, joining the Docuseries risked entangling her in a story she did not fully control. It could expose her to criticism or manipulate public perceptions in ways that contradicted her carefully cultivated image. Furthermore, there were concerns about how participation might affect the monarchy's reputation. Palace insiders worried that airing internal disputes on a streaming platform could damage the institution's dignity and mystique. Kate, conscious of these risks, weighed the consequences carefully. The growing divide over the Netflix project highlighted the differing visions for the royal family's future. Meghan and Harry embraced transparency and media engagement as tools for change, while Kate and William favored discretion and upholding tradition to preserve stability. As Harry and Meghan continued their efforts to involve Kate, tensions escalated. The repeated invitations became pressure, the proposals felt like demands, and what began as an olive branch increasingly felt like an ultimatum. The Netflix deal, originally a source of excitement and opportunity, transformed into a battleground for control over the royal narrative. Kate's refusal to join was not simply a rejection of a project. It was a rejection of the Sussexes' attempt to shape the story on their terms. This clash over the docuseries set the stage for the next dramatic developments, calls and messages that Kate would later block, a decision that shocked royal watchers worldwide. As we move forward, consider what drives someone to turn away from family, especially when public perception hangs in the balance. Is it fear, strategy, or something deeper? The first attempts by Prince Harry and Meghan Markle to reach out to Kate Middleton regarding the Netflix docuseries were, at least on the surface, couched in hopeful tones. Insiders reveal that the Sussexes approached Kate with a blend of eagerness and desperation, hoping to convince her to join their ambitious project. Yet, beneath the polite veneer lay complexities that would soon unravel into conflict. Harry, known for his emotional openness, reportedly made several phone calls to Kate, trying to express the importance of family unity through this shared endeavor. He emphasized the opportunity for them all to present a united front to the world, a chance to tell their stories authentically, side by side. In his messages, he framed the docuseries not only as a creative venture, but as a healing process for the family. Meghan supplemented Harry's outreach with longer, more detailed communications. Friends close to the Sussexes say Meghan sent extensive emails, complete with outlines and vision statements, explaining how Kate's participation would be vital. She positioned Kate as a key player who could help reshape public opinion and bridge the divide between the traditional monarchy and the couple's modern narrative. Some insiders describe these messages as carefully crafted and passionate, conveying a sense of urgency. Meghan allegedly highlighted the emotional benefits of coming together and warned of the consequences if the family failed to unite publicly. She also assured Kate that the project would be handled with sensitivity and respect. However, others in the palace interpreted these overtures differently. To some, the Sussexes' persistence felt less like an invitation and more like pressure, a way to compel Kate into compliance with their media strategy. The framing of Kate as a bridge was seen by skeptics as a calculated move to legitimize the Sussexes' narrative, potentially at Kate's expense. Kate's response was cautious from the start. Rather than committing or outright rejecting the invitation, she reportedly stalled, seeking counsel from her close advisors and William. Her primary concern was the potential fallout, both personal and institutional, that could result from publicly associating with a project largely controlled by Meghan and Harry. Adding to the complexity was the volatile nature of the relationship between the women. Reports suggest Kate and Meghan rarely spoke directly during this period, their communication mostly filtered through intermediaries. This lack of direct dialogue exacerbated misunderstandings and fueled mistrust. Observers note that the Sussexes' approach was marked by emotional appeals, reflecting their belief that genuine connection could overcome past grievances. Yet Kate's silence and hesitation sent a contrasting message, one of guardedness and skepticism. As the back and forth continued, the stakes rose higher. The Sussexes began to increase the frequency of their contact, shifting from respectful inquiries to more insistent calls and messages. The tone reportedly became urgent, even demanding, reflecting their desperation to secure Kate's participation before production deadlines loomed. The mounting pressure caused ripples beyond the Sussexes' immediate circle. William and other senior royals grew concerned about the implications of this family dispute becoming a public spectacle. They cautioned Kate about the risks of entanglement, advising her to consider the long-term impact on the monarchy. What began as tentative attempts at outreach were now perceived as an invasion of boundaries. Kate felt cornered, her privacy threatened by a relentless campaign that showed little regard for her feelings or reservations. The question emerges: was the Sussexes' insistence fueled by genuine hope for family reconciliation, or was it a strategic gambit designed to secure narrative control at any cost? This tension would soon culminate in the most dramatic move of all, the decision to block Harry and Meghan altogether. Before reaching that point, it is important to reflect on the emotional complexity of these exchanges. All parties involved were navigating a minefield of expectations, fears, and ambitions. The absence of direct communication between Kate and Meghan left room for assumptions and misinterpretations that would only deepen the divide. As this chapter closes, the scene is set for an unprecedented rupture in one of the world's most closely watched families. The stage is prepared for a dramatic confrontation that will redefine relationships and reshape public perceptions forever. As the Sussexes' repeated invitations intensified, Kate Middleton's unease grew steadily into alarm. What began as cautious hesitation quickly transformed into a deep sense of vulnerability and concern. Insiders close to Kate describe how the mounting pressure unsettled her, not just personally, but in the broader context of her role within the royal family and the monarchy itself. Kate has always been known for her measured approach, careful, deliberate, and deeply aware of the responsibilities she bears. Her every move is watched not only by millions of royal followers, but also by the palace hierarchy, which depends on her steadiness to uphold the institution's image. The prospect of becoming entangled in a high-profile media project driven by Meghan and Harry, whose public actions had already stirred controversy, threatened to undermine all that Kate represented. Private conversations with Prince William further heightened her alarm. William, whose own relationship with Harry had been strained for years, reportedly shared concerns about the potential risks. They feared that participating in the Netflix docuseries could open the door to unwanted scrutiny, family secrets spilled in public, and a loss of control over the royal narrative. Kate's instincts, honed by years of navigating palace politics and media storms, warned her against entangling herself with the Sussexes' agenda. Unlike Meghan and Harry, who had embraced the global spotlight with a mixture of vulnerability and assertiveness, Kate valued discretion and subtlety. For her, the stakes were about preserving tradition, protecting her children's privacy, and safeguarding the monarchy's stability during uncertain times. As the Sussexes' attempts to draw her in persisted, Kate's private counsel deepened. She sought advice not only from William, but also from senior palace officials and trusted aides. These conversations often circled back to one central question: could Kate maintain her integrity and loyalty while appearing in a project controlled by those who had publicly criticized the institution she serves? Adding fuel to her concern was the increasingly aggressive tone of Meghan and Harry's outreach. The Sussexes, convinced that their docuseries was a vehicle for truth and healing, seemed to interpret Kate's caution as obstruction or even hostility. This misunderstanding created a feedback loop. Kate's withdrawal bred more insistence, which in turn heightened her resolve to protect herself. Meanwhile, rumors began to circulate within palace circles that Meghan was frustrated with what she saw as Kate's reluctance. Some reports describe Meghan privately accusing Kate of playing games and holding grudges that endangered the family's unity and public image. These accusations, though unconfirmed, added to the emotional complexity swirling around the situation. For Kate, the situation was a powder keg. The demands from the Sussexes felt like a violation of personal boundaries, yet the public nature of their project made disengagement difficult without igniting further speculation. She faced a dilemma: participate and risk being seen as complicit in a potentially divisive narrative, or withdraw and invite criticism of coldness or division. In the midst of this tension, Kate began to distance herself not only from the docuseries, but also from private communication with Harry and Meghan. Calls went unanswered, messages unread or deliberately ignored. This withdrawal was both a protective shield and a signal of growing frustration. Observers note that Kate's growing alarm was not simply about one project or moment, but a culmination of years of strain, conflicting loyalties, and media manipulation. It highlighted the clash between two approaches to royal life: Meghan and Harry's bold, public-facing activism versus Kate and William's guarded, tradition-rooted stewardship. This chapter of escalating tension underscores a critical point. The struggle was not merely about a Netflix docuseries, but about identity, control, and survival in a world where every gesture carries immense symbolic weight. What would you do if caught between protecting your family legacy and facing relentless pressure to publicly expose private matters? Kate's dilemma speaks to a universal human conflict amplified on a global stage. The next chapter reveals the defining moment, the decision that shocked the world. Kate's choice to block Harry and Meghan entirely, drawing a line in the sand with consequences that continue to ripple. The moment Kate Middleton decided to block Prince Harry and Meghan Markle marked a seismic shift in the royal family's ongoing saga. What was once a simmering tension erupted into an unmistakable rupture, a definitive act that sent shockwaves through palace circles and captivated global audiences. To block a family member, especially in a household as steeped in tradition and protocol as the British monarchy, is virtually unheard of. It signaled a fracture so deep that no words could bridge it. Sources close to the situation described the build-up to this moment as relentless. Harry and Meghan's calls and messages, once polite and hopeful, had escalated into repeated attempts to pierce Kate's guarded defenses. The Sussexes reportedly urged, pleaded, and insisted on her participation in the Netflix docuseries, framing it as an urgent family matter and a chance for healing. But for Kate, each attempt felt like an intrusion, a pressure that crossed boundaries she was unwilling to compromise. The decision to block was not made lightly. Insiders emphasized that Kate viewed this step as a last resort, a boundary set to protect her personal space, her family's privacy, and the dignity of the monarchy. The act of blocking, while simple in the digital age, carries profound emotional weight, especially within a family already under intense public scrutiny. Blocking Harry and Meghan was more than a technological maneuver. It was a symbolic rejection of their attempts to dictate the narrative and involve her in a project that conflicted with her values and priorities. It declared that certain lines had been crossed, and that reconciliation through this channel was no longer possible. The timing of the blockade was crucial. It came as production plans for the docuseries were accelerating, and the Sussexes were desperate to secure Kate's involvement. By shutting down communication, Kate effectively sent a clear message. She would not be complicit in what she perceived as a media-driven manipulation of family relations. Reactions within the palace were mixed. Some sympathized with Kate's position, viewing her actions as a necessary defense against an overreaching media strategy. Others worried that this public sign of division could deepen the family's wounds and exacerbate media speculation. Meanwhile, word of the blockade quickly reached Meghan and Harry. Reports describe Meghan as devastated, overwhelmed by a sense of betrayal and loss. Sources recount moments of emotional breakdown, as Meghan grappled with the realization that her attempts to reconcile and include Kate had been met with absolute silence. Harry, too, felt the sting deeply. Torn between loyalty to Meghan and nostalgia for his past relationship with Kate and William, he was left isolated. Attempts to reach out through mutual friends and intermediaries met with cold responses, reinforcing the finality of Kate's decision. The media seized upon the story with fervor. Headlines proclaimed the rift as wider than ever, painting the blockade as a dramatic climax in a family feud that had captured the world's imagination. Analysts debated the implications. Was this the end of any hope for familial healing? Could the monarchy withstand such public discord? Amidst the public spectacle, the personal toll was immense. Family gatherings grew more strained, communications more fragmented, and alliances more entrenched. The blockade became a physical and emotional barrier, one that underscored the profound disconnect between the Sussexes and the Cambridge household. In the days and weeks following, attempts at damage control emerged, but met with limited success. Palace spokespeople reiterated a commitment to privacy, while behind the scenes, senior royals worked to manage the fallout. Yet the blockade remained a stark, unyielding fact, a reminder that some divides are not easily bridged. Kate's move has also sparked broader conversations about boundaries, mental health, and the pressures of life in the spotlight. Many empathize with her need to protect herself, while others mourn the loss of family unity. The incident has become a defining moment, emblematic of the challenges faced by modern royals navigating a complex web of personal and public demands. As this chapter closes, the blockade stands as both an ending and a beginning, an end to a chapter of hopeful outreach and a beginning of new realities marked by silence and separation. The consequences ripple far beyond the family, influencing public perception, media narratives, and the very future of the monarchy's image. The next chapter explores Meghan's reaction to this rejection, her emotional turmoil, and the escalating tensions in Montecito following the blockade. The news of Kate Middleton's decision to block Meghan Markle and Prince Harry sent shockwaves far beyond the royal corridors of Buckingham Palace. In the sunny enclave of Montecito, California, where Meghan and Harry had sought refuge and a fresh start, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. What had been a project filled with hope and creative ambition descended into an emotional crisis that would test the couple's resilience in unexpected ways. Meghan Markle, often portrayed as a strong, composed figure, was reportedly overwhelmed by the rejection. Insiders reveal that upon learning of Kate's blockade, Meghan experienced a profound sense of loss and betrayal. The woman who had envisioned a united family front on the world's most powerful streaming platform found herself abruptly cut off, left with a void where connection once seemed possible. Friends close to Meghan describe moments of intense vulnerability. In private, she is said to have broken down in tears, grappling with feelings of abandonment and frustration. For someone who had consistently positioned herself as an advocate for family unity and healing, this blockade felt like a personal repudiation that struck deep. The emotional weight of the situation extended beyond disappointment. Meghan reportedly feared that without Kate's participation, the entire Netflix docuseries might lose its momentum or, worse, its legitimacy. The project, a cornerstone of their media strategy and public rebranding, suddenly seemed precarious. In Meghan's eyes, Kate's refusal was not just a personal rebuff, but a potential threat to their broader ambitions. Sources suggest that Meghan's reaction triggered heightened tensions in their Montecito home. The couple, already navigating the challenges of life under relentless media scrutiny, now faced internal strain. Meghan's distress was palpable, and Harry found himself caught between supporting his wife and managing the emotional fallout of fractured family ties. This period was marked by a growing sense of isolation. Meghan's circle of trusted confidants expanded to include therapists, advisors, and close friends, all offering support during a time of emotional turmoil. Yet, the blockade remained a sharp and painful wound, a reminder of the chasm growing between the Sussexes and the rest of the royal family. Media insiders note that Meghan's public demeanor contrasted sharply with her private struggles. While she continued to promote messages of positivity and healing in interviews and social media, behind closed doors, the reality was far more complex. The juxtaposition of public confidence and private vulnerability added layers to her persona that few outside her inner circle fully grasped. Harry, meanwhile, wrestled with his own emotions. The blockade not only severed a crucial familial bond, but also symbolized the growing divide between his past and present lives. Reports indicate that Harry attempted to mediate, reaching out to mutual acquaintances in hopes of mending the breach. However, these efforts often met with resistance, reinforcing a sense of helplessness. The Sussexes' Netflix project, once a beacon of possibility, became shadowed by uncertainty. Production schedules were delayed as the couple re-evaluated the series' direction without Kate's involvement. Netflix executives, while supportive, reportedly expressed concern about the potential public relations impact of a fractured royal narrative. Public reaction to Meghan's meltdown was mixed. Supporters empathized with her pain and applauded her openness about mental health challenges. Critics, however, questioned the wisdom of involving family disputes in a commercial media venture, suggesting that the emotional fallout was an inevitable consequence. This chapter of Meghan's meltdown underscores the intense pressures faced by those living life in the public eye, where personal grievances become global news and family conflicts play out on a stage watched by millions. What lessons can be drawn from this emotional upheaval? How do individuals balance personal healing with public expectation, especially when family ties unravel so publicly? Meghan's experience reveals the fragility that often lies beneath public personas and the profound impact of familial rejection. As Meghan and Harry navigate this turbulent period, the royal family and the media alike watch closely, aware that the consequences extend far beyond personal relationships. The next chapter turns to the palace's response, or notable lack thereof, and what silence in the face of such drama truly means. In the wake of Kate Middleton's unprecedented decision to block Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, public attention turned swiftly to Buckingham Palace and Kensington Palace. Expectations mounted for an official statement addressing the escalating family rift and the mounting speculation surrounding the Netflix docuseries. Yet, in a move that both surprised and frustrated observers, the palaces chose silence. Reports from within their circle describe a palpable tension permeating their Montecito home. Meghan's frustration and sadness gave way to determination, fueling conversations about alternative strategies to salvage the project and maintain public interest. Harry, equally affected, struggled to balance supporting his wife's emotional needs with managing the practical realities of their media endeavors. Netflix executives, while publicly supportive, quietly expressed concerns about the impact of the family rift on the docuseries. The absence of Kate, a key figure symbolizing the British monarchy's continuity, diminished the narrative's potential to bridge divides and offer a comprehensive family portrait. The production team faced pressure to adapt the series' direction, grappling with whether to proceed without the anticipated level of family participation. Behind closed doors, Meghan and Harry debated their next moves. Some advisors suggested focusing more on their personal stories, emphasizing their experiences and perspectives rather than attempting to draw in reluctant family members. Others pushed for renewed outreach, hoping that time might soften Kate's stance. This internal debate underscored the broader challenge: how to maintain momentum and public sympathy while managing the fallout from a family deeply divided. The Sussexes were caught between authenticity and strategy, between vulnerability and control. Publicly, Meghan and Harry maintained a facade of optimism, promoting messages of hope and unity in interviews and social media posts. However, insiders note that the emotional toll was significant, with moments of private despair tempered by determination to persevere. The fallout also affected their wider circle. Friends and allies expressed concern about the sustainability of the intense media spotlight and its impact on the couple's mental health. Discussions about boundaries, privacy, and the cost of public life became frequent, reflecting the high stakes of their chosen path. This chapter reveals the complexities of managing personal grief and family conflict within the glare of global media. It highlights the delicate balance between seeking connection and protecting oneself from further harm. As Meghan and Harry navigated this tumultuous period, the royal family watched cautiously, aware that the repercussions extended beyond individual relationships to the monarchy's global standing. Looking ahead, the question remained: could the rift ever be healed, or had the blockade signaled an irreversible division? The next chapter reflects on the broader lessons from this divide and what it means for the future of the royal family. The dramatic rupture within the British royal family, epitomized by Kate Middleton's decision to block Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, offers profound lessons not only about family dynamics, but about the evolving nature of public life, media influence, and institutional resilience. As this saga unfolds, it becomes clear that the divide is not merely a personal tragedy, but a reflection of deeper societal shifts and challenges facing modern monarchies. One key lesson lies in the complexity of balancing tradition with modernity. The royal family is an institution grounded in centuries-old customs, yet it operates in a 21st-century world shaped by instant communication, global media, and demands for transparency. Kate's measured, reserved approach reflects a commitment to preserving tradition and discretion, while Meghan and Harry's media-driven strategies represent a break from convention aimed at redefining their roles. This tension between discretion and openness creates inherent conflict. The royal family must navigate public expectations for authenticity without compromising privacy or institutional stability. The blockade, in this context, symbolizes the challenge of setting boundaries amid these competing demands. Another lesson is the profound impact of media and public scrutiny on personal relationships. The Sussexes' choice to engage publicly with family disputes magnifies the emotional stakes, transforming private conflicts into global spectacles. Meanwhile, the palace's silence can be interpreted in multiple ways, either as protective discretion or perceived avoidance, highlighting the delicate role communication plays in shaping public perception. The story also underscores the importance of agency and boundary setting in family dynamics. Kate's decision to block contact illustrates how individuals can assert control and protect their well-being, even in environments rife with pressure and expectation. It challenges assumptions about royal women's roles and highlights the strength found in quiet resistance. Moreover, the divide reveals the dangers of miscommunication and unaddressed grievances. The absence of direct dialogue between Kate and Meghan allowed misunderstandings and suspicions to fester, illustrating how breakdowns in communication can escalate conflicts beyond repair. From a broader perspective, the rift raises questions about the monarchy's adaptability. Can an institution so rooted in tradition evolve to accommodate diverse voices and contemporary realities without fracturing? The Sussexes' departure and subsequent media ventures test these limits, while Kate and William's approach reflects a different vision for the monarchy's future. The public's engagement with this family drama also offers insights into societal values. The intense polarization of opinion reveals deep cultural divides about loyalty, authenticity, privilege, and the role of the media. The royal family's struggles become a mirror reflecting broader debates about identity, power, and change. As the family members continue to navigate these challenges, the lessons from this divide emphasize the need for empathy, communication, and respect for boundaries. Healing may require not only personal reconciliation, but institutional reforms and shifts in public expectations. Ultimately, this saga is a human story of love, betrayal, resilience, and the quest for understanding amid impossible circumstances. It invites us to consider the cost of fame and legacy, and what it means to protect what we hold dear in an unforgiving spotlight. As we conclude this exploration, the question remains, what future awaits the British royal family? Can bridges be rebuilt, or will the divide define a new era? In the final chapter, we bring the story full circle, reflecting on the emotional resolution and the enduring impact of Kate's blockade. The story of Kate Middleton's decision to block Prince Harry and Meghan Markle is a chapter marked by profound emotional complexity, cultural significance, and enduring impact. As we draw this saga to a close, it becomes clear that this act was far more than a simple refusal. It was a declaration of self-preservation, a boundary set to protect family, legacy, and personal dignity in a world saturated by public scrutiny. Kate's choice reverberates as a powerful testament to the challenges faced by individuals caught between personal relationships and institutional expectations. In an era where private matters rapidly become public spectacle, her decision underscores the necessity of agency and the courage it takes to say no, even to those closest to us. For Harry and Meghan, the blockade symbolized a painful rupture, but also a moment of reckoning. It forced a confrontation with the realities of fractured family ties, and the limits of media-driven reconciliation. Their journey continues, marked by both resilience and the heavy burden of public judgment. The palace's silence throughout this ordeal revealed both the strength and fragility of the monarchy. By choosing discretion, the institution sought to preserve dignity and stability, yet the absence of open dialogue allowed speculation and division to fester. This tension highlights the evolving challenges the royal family faces as it adapts to modernity. Public reaction, intense and polarized, reflected broader societal debates about loyalty, privacy, and the role of tradition in contemporary life. The story captured global attention because it resonates with universal themes. Family conflict, the search for identity, and the struggle to balance personal truth with public responsibility. As viewers and observers, we are invited to reflect deeply. What would we do in Kate's position? How do we protect ourselves and those we love when boundaries are tested? Can families heal when trust is broken on such a public scale? This narrative also serves as a reminder of the human behind the headlines. Beyond the titles and ceremonies are individuals grappling with emotions, fears, and hopes. Their choices carry consequences that ripple far beyond themselves, touching the lives of millions who watch and wonder. The story comes full circle with the haunting image of Kate's silent rejection, not as an act of cruelty, but as a protective shield forged from years of pressure and pain. It is a moment that defines not only the relationships within the royal family, but also the broader cultural moment in which they live. As this chapter closes, the future remains uncertain. Will time soften wounds and open doors to reconciliation? Or will this blockade remain a permanent divide, shaping the legacy of a generation? What do you think? Was Kate's decision justified, or has the royal family's feud gone too far? Share your thoughts below and join the conversation about a story that continues to unfold in the hearts and minds of millions. If this story moved you, consider sharing it with someone who seeks to understand the delicate balance between family loyalty and personal boundaries in the age of media spectacle. Thank you for staying with us through this deep dive into one of the most gripping royal dramas of our time.